Hello, I'm Rowan, and this is a video about this laptop here. This is an HP G7 notebook from, I believe, 2011 or 2014. It came with 4 gigabytes of RAM, a 500 gigabyte hard drive, 802.11bg, I don't think N, so 11 megabit internet. And Mr. R is going to spend some time taking this apart today. We did this once before, many years ago, because we had to replace the keyboard. And today we're going to be taking this apart because we've had some temperature issues. So basically, we need to get this thing cleaned up and repasted. And that's going to require us to take apart the entire laptop. And the reason why we're doing it is because, well, you might see some other very nice sanitary looking videos about this that make it look easy. It's not easy. We're going to show you whatever little tricks we know. And unfortunately, because we haven't done this in a while, it's going to be very much like you get to see what you're going to look like doing this and hopefully learn from it so you don't have to do it the way we did. But here we are. Mr. R is futzing around and he's trying to figure out what to do here. As you can see, we've got a fairly big L-shaped plate there that gives us access to, believe it or not, that was actually nice, the main guts, where you can change out the hard drive and you can change out the Wi-Fi and you can change out the RAM. Those are the things that HP was going to let us get into by unscrewing 2 screws. Very magnanimous of them, don't you think? But the problem is that, they didn't want you to change out the Wi-Fi to any Wi-Fi vendor. I don't understand why, other than they were being very protectionist. If you wanted to do anything else, any kind of repair on this PC that involved the motherboard or the antennas or the speakers or anything other than just the hard drive and the RAM, you were screwed. I did mention that you can get to the Wi-Fi, right? As it turns out, the Wi-Fi card has to be from a particular set of vendors, and it has to meet HP's security standards, aka their partners that are giving them a kickback. At least that's what it seems like. Maybe it isn't. Maybe we're being really cynical. But the point is that even though you can get to the Wi-Fi and you can take it out, you can't just put anyone back in. And it requires that it meets a standard of HPs of some sort and that it's on their little white list. White list. That's a term we learned because of this laptop. It's very protectionist. It's you don't get to do work on your own hardware kind of an attitude. And yeah. So this PC, like I said, has this L-shaped plate that will come off and let you get to some basic things. But anything past that, you are going to have to do some major unscrewing. This PC had a bunch of fan noise, overheating, very typical of a laptop that needs to have its guts cleaned out. All right, so now here we have a better view of the top, and you can see that we have, well, Mr. R playing with his big tools. this one is far too big. We're not going to be able to use it on this job. We're going to have to use this little Harbor Freight mini precision screwdriver set. And yeah, he just really wants to use this, but no, we can't use this. It's too big. Let's just get started here, right? Oh, let's take the battery out. That way we don't burn out anything on accident with any shorted wires. There's wires in there too, but those are the antennas. You know what I mean. We don't want to short anything and cause an arc, burn circuits. So yeah, that little metal dish up there used to be a long, long time ago that we wouldn't want anything anywhere near any of our computer equipment that was that magnetic because, you know, there's old guys out here who remember the 5 1/4-inch floppy disk. And of course, after that, there was the 3 1/2-inch floppy disk also. But the 5 1/4-inch disk was just basically a sandwich of magnetic media and 2 very thin sheets of paper or plastic with holes in them that allowed the read and write heads to read and write to the disk. Yeah, and a magnet like that could really mess up your recorded media. All your files could be gone very simply if you just rubbed one of these magnets over them. Yeah, and, you know, on a parallel, with the discs, the 5 1/4-inch discs, when they first came out, were all considered to be single-sided media. And eventually, people figured out that if you put a little notch on the opposite side from where the notch was, what is this notch you speak of, Rowan? Well, the notch was the write protection for the disk. If your floppy disk had a notch on one side, you could write to that disk. But if that notch got taped over, you just write protected your disk, so you couldn't, so the head would not work. Well, people found out that, you know, this disk is very symmetrical, other than the fact that it has a notch on one side. So if you notch the other side and flip the disk over, you could put it in there and record on the other side. Well, the people at 3M Marketing freaked out. They just sat there and went, my God, we're going to lose half our money. People don't need to buy as many floppy disks all of a sudden. How are we going to make this not be a problem? Well, initially, with the 5 1/4-inch discs, they just came out and said, we can't guarantee what's on the back of the disk. You could ruin all your information if you tried to write there. You might even damage your floppy disk writer if you tried to do this. Honestly, that was like a lie. The process that was used to make these disks was not very picky about which side of the disk you used. You know, basically, the blank disk got dipped into magnetic medium, and then it got hung to dry or spun to dry or whatever. And then once it was dry, it was good media. Well, as good as it could be. I mean, considering how crude the process was. But anyway, yeah, Mr. R's got that plate off now, and you see that we've got the hard drive sitting in front of us. And he's messing with this plate. Get that out of the way, Mr. R. Okay, yeah, I guess those screws are kept in with little spring clips. And now we're going to take a look at this. he's thinking about what to do with the rest of this case still. In any case, well, so there's 2 sticks of RAM there. It originally came with 4 gigabytes of RAM, and the hard drive is a 500 gig Seagate 2.5-inch drive. And there is a Wi-Fi card in there. Like I said, it's the one that HP said was okay, which we quickly found out was no longer okay because, well, the internet got faster and this thing did not. And we could not swap it out. So, honestly, we have a TP-Link 1 gigabit network adapter for Wi-Fi, and that works very well. Okay, so yeah, he's looking at the hard drive, and you can see that it's got these little things on the end, little booties. It's just an SATA drive, and this was pretty good for the time. This was it. This was the stuff. Of course, it's really slow today, so we'll be swapping that out while we're at it. And, yep, and we're going to keep the little booties because they were originally there to keep the hard drive from vibrating around. That way the platter didn't do anything stupid. And, we're going to be using those to help snug up the SSD that we're going to replace that with. And yes, Mr. R is now trying to figure out how to break the sandwich here, the clamshell sandwich between the top and the bottom, because we've taken out all the exterior screws. We should be able to do this, right? Well, HP didn't want us to get into this any further than we've already gone. Like those people at 3M didn't want people to put a little notch on the side of a 5 1/4-inch disc. And, okay, he's working with it. He's got certain things that are loose here. And he's trying really hard, but it's not ready yet. There's more screws that have to be taken out. Come on, he's gonna figure it out. But yeah, so eventually, they gave up on the 5 1/4-inch floppy drives. And those things got phased out for the 3.5-inch floppy drives with the 3.5-inch floppy disks. They could store a lot more stuff on them. And strangely enough, they were designed in a way that you couldn't just flip them over. They had a little sliding metal bracket, a little cover to help protect the media. Yeah, and you couldn't flip them over anymore because it was mechanical and it only moved one direction. And they had a little, instead of a notch, they had a little tab that you could flip open or closed, and that would, right protect your disc. And they were made out of plastic instead of simple thin material because, so many people folded their discs in half. Yeah, I don't think we ever folded a disc in half. I don't think we ever did anything that stupid. We didn't use our discs as frisbees. We didn't sandwich them between rocks and mushrooms or something like that. Okay, so he's still trying to pry this thing open. But, what I'm getting at is that the companies decided that because a simple thing was too easy for the user to modify to our benefit, making it more complicated was the solution to make sure that they would keep making more money. This whole attitude on these companies' parts where you could make something that was fairly easy to get into, but then you'd lose profit because people could maintain their equipment and, fix simple solders that went bad and get to where they could replace out parts that needed to be replaced. Or you could add 20 screws in hidden places and make them all different sizes and require special tools. And, it was a little initial outlay cost, but once you did that, 90% of the people who had a problem with a piece of equipment would just chuck it and buy another one. That's not very friendly to people. It's not very friendly to the environment. It's certainly, costly for everyone involved other than them. But that's been the prevailing attitude. And even now with right to repair bills, these companies are doing everything they can. Oh, we didn't break it. That actually pops off. That's the beauty cover for the DVD writer. And he's having a wonderful time trying to get things to open up. This was much easier last time. I think we actually looked things up on the internet before we did this. But there is a trick to this. And, part of the trick is getting all the screws out. Yeah. So here we go. We found 3 more screws, and we're working on them. It's time for coffee. Yep, he's just working on them. But yeah, that little allegory of the, it's not really an allegory, that little story I told you about the floppy disks, that attitude has spread to every piece of equipment that you can buy. Printers, computers, even those damn little cameras, the, home Nest cameras, where it doesn't work without a network connection to the mothership, and the mothership gets to tell you every 6 months that they're going to charge you more money than the last time, and you have to buy a subscription to use the piece of equipment you bought, Louis Rossmann goes over this a whole lot. If you haven't seen his videos, which I seriously doubt you haven't seen, you should see Louis Rossmann's videos. He's a Mac repair guy who found out really quickly that Apple's out to get you, and that everyone else is too. Anyhow, so here we are. We've got our fingers stuck in a tight spot, and we're just figuring this out pretty soon here. Yep. So at this point, we've determined that if we pry the 2 pieces apart and we figure out where it doesn't want to come apart, we can probably find another screw there and unscrew it. So that's what we're doing. We're prying and finding and unscrewing. And at this point, yeah, you see how loose this is? This is frustrating. It should just come off, but no, it doesn't. There's some magical thing happening in the middle that says there's a screw there. It flexes to the middle and about where he touched the K or the comma or something near there. Yeah, and it will not come off. So here we go. He just realized that little hole there. So this giant hole, this space is where the DVD writer used to be. That little black hole is underneath the plus. And when you push up, you can pop the keyboard so it actually becomes something you can pull off. There's another video out there that tells you should shove a spudger in there in the crack and, you know, start popping it with that, but that doesn't really work very well. Okay, now don't yank this keyboard off. Yoink is bad because that little ribbon cable right there that he's messing with, you could tear that out of the socket. You could rip up parts. It gets expensive suddenly. Yeah, so be very gentle. And look, he found the screw. That's going to be one of the screws that's left in the tray when we're done, because we're not putting that one back. Oh, he's getting blue with the language. Oh my. Let's get that little guy out of there. Poor little screw. It's not the screw's fault. It's the person who's trying to screw us all. Marketing. Because I know engineering didn't come up with this. Engineering is like the antithesis of marketing. Let's make something very efficient and functional that lasts forever, because that's good engineering. And then marketing shows up and says, you can't do that. That's like curing cancer. I mean, everyone would love to cure cancer, but, you know, the people who make money selling medicine wouldn't like cancer cured. So no, don't be engineering this that way. We need things to die so we can sell more. Okay, so now we have to take these little tabs out, these tiny little ribbon cables that are held by delicate little things that require a lot of force. Okay, but once those are disconnected, those leads go to the membrane pad and the push buttons. That's what that circuit on the bottom there, that little green circuit is. That circuit board, it's there for the synaptics pad and the buttons. Okay, so here we are. We've got to the motherboard. And now we're gonna have to start taking things off here. What we're trying to do now, and unfortunately our other cameras failed at this point, and we haven't noticed. We're trying to get the connector off, and yeah, that's the, pardon the video. This is embarrassing, but we had to do that. This little plastic container is the end of a cable that leads back to the motherboard, and that's the connector from the motherboard for the SATA for the hard drive. So we want to be very careful and not break anything, obviously, but especially this thing here, because we don't have a hard drive if that thing's broken. And you can see this black thing over here. This is one of the speakers, an Altec Lansing speaker. And now I think we're messing with the clip for the speakers, which is very delicate. We don't want to yank that out because then we won't have sound. There we go. Okay, so now here we are. We finally got the motherboard out. There were a couple more screws, I'm sure, and another clip. But now we're going to be taking the heatsink off. You can tell how high quality this was, how big and bulky and very good at sucking heat off it was. And yeah, this was pretty much the minimum to make this thing work. And what you're gonna see once we get these things unscrewed is that the silicone, we're going to see that the paste is just completely cement. And I believe the chip on the left that Mr. R's left hand is over is the GPU. There isn't even a cooler on top of that. I mean, look at that. That's your fan, and yeah, it's just absolute dry cement. Yep. Yeah, so we use isopropyl alcohol to clean these things up, and a Q-tip or a cotton swab or one of our shop towels, and we don't use the really high-grade alcohol. You can buy 70%, 90%, whatever. We just go and get the regular, bathroom grade alcohol and wipe it down with that. I'm sure people want to use the higher percentage because they don't want to have as much water involved. It dries faster and it evaporates and leaves less moisture behind. Well, honestly, we've never had any problem with moisture and circuits, so I wouldn't suggest buying alcohol just to have a little bottle around so that you can wipe off the gunk from your circuit boards. If you found that there's some benefit to that, please leave a comment and we will see about changing our way. All right, so here we are, and we're using one of the shop towels and just wiping it out. Little desert of gunk here that needs to be taken out. Oh, jeez. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Get the big chunks out of there. And, all right. Yep, finding another clean spot to work with. We're just getting gunk out of here. There's some spots that no matter how much you rub with the towel, though, it's not going to come out. So let's go get a jackhammer and we'll use that. Oh, there we go. We'll use a spudger instead. Yep, just a little plastic scrapey. Doing just enough to get that stuff off of there. Yeah, there is a GPU here somewhere, but I couldn't tell you which one it is. Yeah, let's move that out of the way so we don't put schmutz all over the thing we just cleaned. Oh yeah. Layers and layers of gunk. My God. So we're going to be using the Thermal Grizzly again because we have more of it. We really like it. It works well. We're not sponsored. Hey, DeBauer, would you like to sponsor us? I know, we're very tiny, but we really love you, I swear. Yay! But yeah, we have a little bit left, and we're gonna just put a pea-sized nubbin in the middle here. And what we've determined is that you put what you think is enough or just a little bit less, because if you put more, you're going to make a mess. Not that it matters, it's just a personal thing. And why waste expensive stuff? And so now we're going to do a little technique of ours. We're going to put this together. We're going to sandwich this down like you normally do. But instead of just moving on and pretending we did the best job possible, we're going to actually get this tied down, and then we're going to take it back off. Well, yeah, I mean, it's not like you're going to ruin the stuff by opening it up again. You're not going to make air pockets because you're just going to put it right back down the way it was, and then you're going to squeeze it down again. But in the process of doing this, yeah, we're making sure it's tightened down. We should be doing this in an X pattern, but after you've done that for a while, it doesn't really matter. Yep, now it's time to check our work, pick up schmutz, put things into reverse, and start unscrewing this light bulb, in this case, this heat lamp. And when we're done with this, which is going to take a little bit, because, you don't want to do things too quickly when you're using metal screwdrivers on metal pieces on a piece of electronics. All right, is it going to come off? A little bit more. Yeah, once we get this open, we'll be able to see how well things spread out. Yeah, we're getting there. There we go. And that's pretty good. But you can see that there's like little corners that didn't get done, that it didn't spread well. Now, here's the deal. We could try spreading this out with the spatula, but that just makes it thinner. So it doesn't necessarily help. So we put just a little bit more paste on here, and then we use the applicator to just spread it out a little bit more. And yep, now all we're gonna do is put it all back together backwards. There we go. We decided you didn't need to see us do this for a half an hour. Okay, so yeah, I did mention that the Wi-Fi sucks, right? Because they wouldn't let us upgrade it, and we're not about to dig around forever trying to figure out which card that can be used. So all we did was decided not to put the card back in, and just tape these over so that just in case some electricity somewhere decides to touch them, they don't do anything. And we're just going to close it up. Got to take the battery out though, because it doesn't want to seat properly until you take the battery out and get everything snap down. Okay. Yep. Now, we have not replaced the hard drive yet. We'll do that later. Right now, we just want to make sure we didn't break anything. And we're waiting. And we're waiting. And, oh, there we go. It posted. Yay, it came up. Yep. Okay, so now let's get a mouse. There we go. Hands on the mouse. On the wrong one. And yeah, we're gonna log in, and you don't need to see our password. PASSWO. What? Oh, there we go. Yeah. We never think about doing things like cleaning the monitor before we start a project like this. And oh yeah, there's 4 screws there. 3 of them, I know, are for the back where, those 3 screws that Mr. R found at the very end? Yeah, those 3 that are attached to the space next to the battery. Yeah, that's those 3. And then the number 4 screw there, that's for the Wi-Fi card that we never put back. Yeah. Oh, there is a number 5 screw too. That was the one that we intentionally left out. Yep. Okay. Yes, that's the next thing. We're going to be putting a hard drive. Well, we're going to trade out the hard drive for a SSD. Okay, so that was our video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it to be educational and helpful. And of course, I hope that was something that you liked enough that you'll like and subscribe and, leave comments and ask questions. Because I know we tried not to edit anything out of this video, but there's always stuff that needs to be edited out because, well, there's these giant empty spaces where things get boring. And unfortunately, that's just the way things work here on YouTube. People don't stick around unless it's enjoyable, and hopefully it was. So I hope that I will see you again real soon. And I know I enjoyed being here, and I hope you enjoyed it too. So until I see you again next time, bye!